Hi guys, Andy the Budget Angler here. Welcome to my very first ever float making video. Hopefully it's going to be of use to you. I'm just doing the intro now because I started editing and realised I didn't have an intro. I thought I had one when I was out on my bike, but I didn't. So you're going to have to get full lockdown dishevelment. My hair's gone horrible, grown out. I haven't had a shave. It's Saturday. This is going to be late. It was supposed to go out tomorrow, but it'll never get edited and uploaded by then. So I'm going to do my best to get it done tonight. Yeah, it's just some sticks I got out of the garden, some reeds, and I'll show you how to make some nice little floats just with a few bits I already had really. So yeah, they're really nice actually. I'm really pleased how they turned out, and so hopefully you'll enjoy this. Cheers. Well guys, we're back now. A few days later, I've cleaned up the reeds, cured them on top of a radiator. I had to run the heat in for a little while because there was something wrong with my boiler. It was leaking and I wanted to find out if it was when it was getting up to pressure, but turned out it wasn't anyway, and that's sorted. But so it gave me an opportunity to sort of give these a bit of a roast. I mean, if you're just leaving them be, then you're going to want to cure them for a year indoors, or you can apparently put them in the oven for 200 degrees for 20 minutes. So I was saying, now this video is not going to be particularly sort of instructional. It's more just to sort of show what I've been doing, which is making a few floats at home from trying to use bits that I've found. Obviously, you know, keeping the budget angling in mind. These are two little insert wagglers that I've made. Been doing a bit of whipping. This is just polyester cotton that you'd use to fix that sew a button back on with. And then they're still waiting on the varnish. The paints came, so that's why I'm going to do this video. That's probably not going to focus. There you go. And got these cool neon paints. I'll put a link to those. They're off Amazon. It's just model making paints. And then the other bits you're going to need is something to cut your materials with. I've got a hacksaw over there, Stanley knife, scissors. And for the inserts, I'm going to use kebab skewers, bamboo kebab skewers. So this probably won't be a very slick video. Not that my videos often are. But hopefully it'll give you some idea of how to make a sort of cheap, quick and easy waggler to replenish your stocks if you lose them in trees and stuff like that. Right, so just before we get started, I'm going to try and make six little insert wagglers with whipped on eyes, with different colours, just for different light conditions really, and just give you a bit of an idea of what is possible. There are loads of better videos for float making out there. Check out, I've been looking at a chap called Graham Pinkerton. His channel's called The Float Hut. He's also got a really good Facebook page. His videos are brilliant, and he doesn't tell you everything. He lets you find stuff out yourself, which I think is really nice. So I'm just going to go through now sort of what I've been doing to make these floats. So I want them to be, they're going to fit in this float tube. This is my little travelling one that I put in my pouch that I showed you on the last video. This is 20 centimetres long, internal measurement, so I'm going to make them less than that size so I can take them out when I go out and about on my bike on the canals. So what I'm going to do is measure up my reed. We'll select my reed, so I just want, some of these were sort of blown. I don't know what, you know, I don't know if these are Norfolk reeds or what, but I mean, some of them are really nice and strong, quite thick walls. Obviously they're hollow. I don't know if you can see that there. And so then what I'll do is cut them to length and then just show you how I've tidied them up a bit. Right, I'll just show you a bit of prep before I actually show you cutting one of the reeds. So they're obviously a natural material, so you get all different colours and patterns on them, which is really nice. You can paint them, but you obviously need to waterproof them, so they will be varnished. Reeds are naturally waterproof anyway, I think. They have like a slight sort of, I don't know what it is, like a cellulose coating on it, or naturally occurring sort of waxy coating, and you just want to take that off, and it's easier to sort of take that off with a bit of sandpaper when they're in longer lengths than it is before you cut them up. So just give it a, don't need to do too much. I don't know if you can see that. I'm trying to show you as best I can. Just a bit of scrap of quite fine sandpaper, just to, it'll give it a key for when you varnish it, and also well, that's why you're doing it, really, to give it a key while you varnish it. Sorry, this is not focusing that well at all, is it? This is a bit of a pain. This is a new phone I've got, so I'm still trying to work out how to use it. No, that's not it. Is that better? So you can see that they're joints. They're jointed. So that there forms an end stop. So some people like to leave that in, and depending on the style of float, you can use that as a natural sort of feature or break in the float. But I've cut in between them, and all I've done is, to be honest, the blade on this saw is a bit heavy duty, to be honest, for what I want, but it's the best I've got without going out and getting something else. And so all I'm doing, because of the sort of the strength in these, is all up and down with the strands of the sort of the outer bark, I suppose, for want of a better word. You just want to sort of go like that, and I go sort of with the teeth. So, and you just gently score around it, because you don't want to splinter it, and you don't want to sort of strip. If it sort of comes off in little hairy strips, and you peel one back, and then that's it, the float is totally weak. And so you just want to just do that till you break all of those fibers, and then you can snap it neatly. This is a bit, I've been doing this actually, I've been putting the saw in a workbench which is in the shed, and then doing it that way, where I've been practicing. But yeah, take your time on it, don't rush, there's no rush. I mean, we're on lockdown. I'm not going anywhere. Just let that. That's it. This one's not going to be very neat because I'm doing it one-handed. I'm trying to show you, and then you can snap it like that. And there you have it. That actually is not done. I think I've missed the groove there. So you can just neaten that up with a sandpaper, measure it, and then cut it to the length you want. Right, then just where you've sort of sawed the end, they're a bit tatty, and you just want to give it a just clean it up a bit, just so it's just neat and not jagged, and just scrape the edge. Depending on how you want to join your bits together, you may want to put like a little chamfer, just at a slight angle, especially if you want to whip across. But I'm going to show you how to. This is sort of these are not presentation floats. These are just going to be nice and simple, quite quick, quite cheap, and just ones that you can use yourself, sort of anywhere. But if you have a look online, there are loads of videos on how to whip stuff on, and you can. This is. You know, you can really neaten things up with the whipping. This is one of my first attempts at whipping, and you can see it's a bit uneven. But yeah, we'll do some whipping on these, and I'll show you that as we get to it. So I'll just tidy the rest of these up now. Right, there's the stems all cut to length. You can see that they're ever so slightly different lengths. I eyed some of them in without measuring. So if you're a perfectionist and you want it obviously all you know, a proper little set of floats, you want to make a present for someone, then obviously, you know, do it the pucker way, not the budget angle way. So now we're going to look at the inserts. We're going to make them out of bamboo kebab skewers. They just go in perfectly. Amazing, quite a few of these had little dead spiders inside them, rather grimly. Yeah, so I'm just gonna cut these to length. I don't know, I'm just gonna have a little play and see what sort of length I want for each one. I want them to fit reasonably uniform, and I just cut this stuff with got these side cutters. To be honest, it just cuts it really well. You can saw it, you could use a Stanley knife or go through it, whatever you want really. The side cutters, I thought it might crush it, but these are really dense, really nice ones. Had them in the cupboard for ages, so yeah, that's really cool. Right, there we go, 12 cut to length. They're 40, I've done them 40mm, and I'm now just going to shape the ends. I'm going to dome off 6 of them just for the tips, and then the others I'm just going to flatten off, so you can either put a little float adapter on or whip an eye on, depending what you're going to do. Right, so that's 6 tips. It's worth just spending a bit of time on the tips, just because that's the bit you're going to be looking at. That's the bit you want to be nice. So I've just rounded them off. Don't get muddled up with the ends. The ends I've just sort of, you probably can't pick that up there, but I've just kind of just beveled it off and flattened it just so I can whip an eye onto it. And I'm going to make those slightly shorter when they go into the body, just because I want them to be, the tip and the don't even know what you call that bit. The other bit of the float that the line goes to, the other end of the float, to be the same length. And so when you've got the eye on it, that will make it look longer on the bottom, which I think might look a bit weird, but we'll see how that goes. So now it is time to test the tips and eyes for fit. So it's as simple as it sounds. So that one there, that's pretty good fit. I'll test them all. Some of these are a bit wider, like that one there. You know, that's rattling around like a pencil in the Albert Hall. So what I'll do is just put a bit of masking tape on the end and make sort of like a bit of a gasket, and then they'll be glued in with a super glue gel, but I'll show you that in a second. So just got me a bit of masking tape. I think probably one turn will probably do it. Just tear that off. And then, actually, no, that's going to want a little bit more. I mean, this will all be sealed in and glued, and so it doesn't matter that it's just masking tape. And then, no, even more, I think it's just worth taking a bit of time on this. That's a whole width of the tape. There you go, that's nice. So yeah, then you then adjust your length, and away you go, and do the same with the bottoms. And I'll do that now, get them all sorted. What I'll do is I'll show you gluing that. Hang on. Right, this is the glue I'm using. It's Gorilla Glue Super Glue Gel, and it's just a lot easier than working with the liquid stuff. I don't know if anyone else does any gel versions of Super Glue, but I just find it so much easier. I'm going to look over the top of the camera so I can actually see what I'm doing. Just clear any rubbish out that you might have missed when you were tidying them up. So I'm just put 3 or 4 little blobs. I don't know if you can see that at all. There. Way around. So this will glue it in place, but it won't be the final seal. I will be sealing it with an epoxy resin as well, but I'll show you that. And then that can go in, and you just put it to the length that you want, and go about there, and then let that set. And I'm going to go through and do the same to all the ends and all the tips. Right, well there you go. That's all the end pieces sort of tacked into place lightly, all the right way up. What I should have said as well is I just sort of done it where I've had the thinner end, I've made the tip, and the fatter end. I mean, to be honest, at this length of float, it's probably not going to make that much difference, because the difference in width isn't huge, but it just aesthetically I think it looks a bit nicer. These are all tacked in place, and I've glued to my finger. Super glue does glue everything but the thing you want it to glue, really, mostly, doesn't it? So yeah, they're all that goes off in about sort of 10 minutes, so that's fine. And then what I'm going to do now is just use an epoxy to build up a shoulder on the join. Will that focus? Probably not. Yeah, so I'll show you that now. Right, this is the glue I'm using. It's Arrow Dye. I've had this ages. I got it. It was reduced. I think probably because it's 90-second one. I hadn't realised, and so I'm gonna have to do it a little tiny bit at a time, and just do one float at a time, because it really does go off in 90 seconds. I wanted the 5-minute one, but there we go. So it's just a 2-part epoxy. It's in the syringe one, nice and easy to measure it. Squeeze it out, mix it up, and whack it on the float. So I'll try and do that now, and I'll try and show you as best I can, and we'll see how this goes. And what I've done is, just to be ready, I've cut myself some lengths of kebab skewer as little mixing sticks, so I haven't got a faff about wiping one down. I can just bin it straight away, and then you're ready. What I've also got as well is scraps of plastic bag, just blue plastic bag from the offie, just as a wipe down, so it doesn't get stuck. It's non-porous, and you can just wipe stuff down, wrap your used stick or bit of paper or whatever you're mixing it up on, and bin it straight away without having to faff around. Right, let's have a go. Selecting me float, I'm going to try this one. It looks like it's in need of a bit of a sort of a shoulder on it, or a collar, whatever you want to call it. The reason we want to sort of smooth this off, you could, if this was a tight fit, you could chamfer this down, and then you wouldn't need to worry too much, because the lacquer or varnish, whatever you coat it with, would seal it. But because I haven't sort of got lots of different reeds, I didn't do it like that. What you could do is put a little reed in there and sort of build it up like little sort of reed inserts all the way up, and there's some great videos on YouTube for that. But this is just a quick and dirty, I suppose, for want of a better word, just to get some nice little, little Waggler floats ready for the bank when we're allowed back out again. So let's give it a go. I'm trying to do this over the camera as well, so apologies if this doesn't go well. Right, just a tiny blob, lid back on. No, at the moment you don't have to rush, because you're not. It's not mixed, but once it's mixed, once these two agents are mixed, then it goes off in 90 seconds, and so you've got to be quite quick. If you had a 5-minute one, it would be a bit easier, to be honest. But there we go, give that a good mix. And you just want to apply it. You can neaten this up after as well with sandpaper once it's set. It is a sand. I've got it on the bloody shaft now. It is sandable. This isn't my natural expertise. I'm not a DIYer. I'm not a crafty sort of person. This is kind of it's something I've been meaning to do for ages, and so I've got the opportunity now. We're stuck indoors, so it's starting to go off already. Probably already taking too long. Other end. Now, the Handmade fisherman on YouTube, he's got a big channel. He's built like a little turning thing so the glue doesn't run, but because it's set so quickly, I don't think it's gonna run, to be honest. I don't think I mix up quite enough typically, but this, you'll get better at this with practice. I mean, these are just, you know, I've been making floats for about 3 days, so this is not by any means sort of a detailed instructional video. It's just showing you what's possible with materials that you can find lying around, and information available on YouTube and Facebook and whatnot. But there's some great Facebook groups as well. Right, so that's that. So basically there, that's put a, will this focus? Will you? Not properly. I don't know how in focus that is, to be honest. But that's just put a shoulder on it. That will allow me to whip an eye on there. Bit of muck on there. Not an eye. That will let me to sort of whip over the edges of that. So you'll come to see when I come to paint it, you know, why that'll make a difference. It'll just make it look like such a nicer, neater float for it. So then you want to leave this somewhere to dry, and I've just got a little stand I've made in the kitchen, so I'm going to stop this here and do the rest. Right, the good thing about the 90-second glue, although it's a pain to work with and you've got to be quick, and it was a pain, to be honest, to do 6 in a row. I think I need to just get some normal sort of the 5-minute stuff, or even just the stuff that takes 24 hours to dry. I'm not in a rush. But yeah, this is 2 hours now, and it's set fast. So it's now time for painting, and what I'm going to do for the decoration on these is they're just going to have a painted tip with a neon colour, a black band, a white band, and the body is going to be left natural and just lacquered. So what I'll do is I'll mask off. You don't have to mask it, to be honest. If you've got a steady hand and you can paint a nice neat line, then you don't need to mask it, because especially if you go over the different paint colours with black thread with the whipping, I'll show you that later. You can really neaten up a slightly squiffy line, but I just like to mask it because I am a bit shaky, to be honest. I just don't have a steady hand, so I'll do that now. Right, so that's it masked off, just a bit of masking tape. I've got come down about, what's that, about 8mm or something from the tip, because I want it to have a coloured tip, black band, white band, black band. That's going to be the color scheme. And I'm just priming it now, especially with the neon colors. You need to have a nice white, brilliant white background for the sort of the fluorescent-y colors to fluoresce. So I'm just going to go over that now. This is just household emulsion that I use to paint the walls. I've watered it down a little bit. That's why it's in a coffee pot. I mean, it was from like a 20-litre bucket. So it's about 10% tap water in there just to thin it out a bit, because it was quite thick. It was quite an old tin. And just apply the paint. I've just got a square-ended brush. You can experiment with what brushes you like. Don't ever forget the tip. And just try and avoid bubbles. These kebab skewers are nice and smooth, and I've found just over the last couple of days mucking about and practicing that the better finish you give it, so if you give it a neater finish and make sure it's not all rough, you get a much better application of paint. And don't put too much on, you can build it up. I mean, this is no hurry. These float making, I said, yeah, these are quick, but quick for floats. These are not something you probably could knock these up in a day, to be honest, with the quick drying glue. But these will wait. These will keep till tomorrow. So no bubbles, no streaks, and I'm now going to go and do the other 6 and just get them all nicely their first coat of primer. And what I'll do is I'll come back to you with when I've got some colour on it. And now what I'll do, actually, I've got a couple that I've been doing slightly longer, and I'll just grab them and show you them now, in fact. That's what they're going to look like eventually, guys. These are 2 that I practiced on before doing the video, so I know that these will work to a point. It's just I'll band on the I'll whip on the black banding, but that's just to give you an idea of what they're going to look like when they're done. That pink one needs a bit more paint, probably needs another couple of coats. That's only got 2 or 3 coats on, but the red took much better. Although now that's dried, I think that's going to want another coat as well. So you just got to keep building it up slowly but surely. And what I'll do is I'll come back to you when I've finished painting the neon on the other one. So it probably won't be today now. It's getting on in the afternoon, and so I'll crack on with these and come back to you tomorrow. Right, guys, I've come back to you tonight because I was a bit behind with my videos anyway, and so I don't want to leave it. So what I can do is show you finishing off the float on one of these ones that I'd started earlier. So exactly the same. I did exactly the same. It's just super glued in. Bamboo skewers super glued in, then sort of glued in proper with the 90-second epoxy. Then 2 coats of the emulsion primer, and then this is 3 coats of the sort of a vivid reddy orange from the sort of fluorescent paint set I got for model making. They're great paints. They're brilliant. I got them on Amazon. I think they're about £9, I think, for the pack. And they're only little, but you don't need much when you're doing floats. And so I'm going to be able to have some really cool neon high vis float color combinations. So as I sort of get better at it, because I think I'm going to try to have a reasonable go at making these floats. It's going to save me a bit of money, and these look like they're going to work a treat. So what I'm going to do now is show you whipping on the eye and then whipping the black lines on, and then this float will be effectively finished, ready for varnish. But I can't varnish it because I haven't got any varnish, so I've had to order some, and hopefully that will be arriving in the post from Amazon on Tuesday. Right, so I'm not doing it on the other floats because I want to use smaller eyes, and I haven't got any small safety pins left. So because this is a bigger float, I think this eye won't look too out of place. I can always take it off and put a small one on, and it might be easier for you to see using a bigger one. So what I've been doing is just with safety pins, snipping the top of them off and using the hinge bit, or whatever you call it, as the float eye, and it's been working really well. So I'll do that now. Springing off everywhere. So obviously it springs apart. Just want to close that back off, and then just adjust the length to what length you want it. I mean, that's totally overkill, but it needs to be quite long just so you can squish them together, because if they're too short, you don't get enough leverage to bring them together. But I can take off 10mm. There are those. And so this is a fiddly bit, the whipping. I'm not going to show you sort of the whipping because, to be honest, I'm not that good at it. So I'll link to a good whipping video in the description. And what I'll do is I'll get this done. I'm just using polyester cotton. That is just like button sewing cotton. I've ordered some silk, whipping silk, but it hasn't come in the post yet. But this is fine. The only thing with it is it ever so slightly fluffy, just very, you can't see it, but it's a tiny amount of like sort of like a nap or fluff, whatever you call it, on it. And so what I've been doing is after I've whipped it, I've just been just flicking it with a lighter flame to sort of take that fluff off. And someone else suggested I warm up a knife or a spoon on a flame and then use that as like an iron to sort of iron it smooth. So they're quite good little tips there, but not something I've tried. But the lighter work seems to work really well. So I'll whip this on and then show you what it looks like. Right, I will show you it a bit. Now I've got it started. Basically, you start it off by just wrapping the line over itself to sort of trap itself, and then you just wind it up and you butt it up against the last piece, and so you don't get any gaps. And it's just a really neat way of binding sort of wood strips to metal. It's used for rod rings and all sorts of stuff. Really useful little skill if you can whip stuff. I've not started that close to the end there because it kept slipping down the pin, but I think that'll be okay. And I might just put a little blob of super glue or something on there just to hold it. But I mean, once it's lacquered or sealed or varnished, whatever, then that'll hold it anyway. So I'm just got to pinch that there, but I'll stop this now and come back when it's done. Just coming to the end of this particular whip. Now I'm not doing anything decorative. You could spiral up and then whip round this collar here, which is what I've done on another float. I've already put my drawstring in, or whatever you want. I think it's called a drawstring, that pulls it back through. But I'm not going to go into the mechanics of whipping because I'm not an expert on it, and this won't be that neat. But I have found a little trick of making it look a lot neater than it is if you're still practicing. But you still want to sort of produce a nice looking float. That's that pulled through. And there you have it. That is, it's okay. There's a few little gaps there. It's not as neat. You can use your fingernail just to sort of push it along and even it out. But there are much better videos, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you all about whipping when there are much more highly qualified people than me can do that for you. So my little hack or cheat, or some people probably call this sacrilege, where I'd left a couple of gaps, I've just gone over it with a Sharpie, and then I ended up getting some on the eye, so I've coloured the whole thing in. But I mean, I think as I get better, I'll definitely be able to prevent those little gaps, and I think this silk, this line, this thread isn't as sort of slippy, and so it's hard to butt it up against each other. But I think with practice I'll get there. So yeah, and I dare say some of you guys are going to be more deft with your hands than me, so we'll probably be able to do a much better job of it. And I've already seen some fantastic floats appearing on the Budget Angler Facebook group. Shout out to John Williams, who, if it wasn't for him, really, I wouldn't have got into this. He made me a few floats, and then he sort of said, just give it a go, and I've been meaning to for ages. So yeah, cheers, John. Thanks for that. And right, what I'll do now is I'm going to whip the black lines on there, and then this float will be ready for varnishing and effectively be done. Just show you how I'm going and do with that. I don't know if you can see it. I think the battery's going on the phone now. Typical. But yeah, this will put a really neat, nice straight black line between the red and the white, and then the white and the body of the float. Right, sorry about that, guys. The battery died. I don't know what bit we got up to. This is all going to have to be all edited, and I'll see how it looks. I don't know how well it's been focusing on the close-up stuff. If it hasn't focused, then you won't be seeing this anyway. But there you go. That is the finished black lines whipped on. So you can neaten up that paint line, really well. Do it neatly if you can, because it just makes your life easier. And if you do it really neatly, you can get away with doing really thin whipped black lines, which I think looks really snazzy. So yeah, that's the other end. So that eye is probably a little bit big for this float, to be honest, but I think for the purposes of this video it's been fine. And there you go. So it just needs to be varnished, and then you can get out and use it. I haven't got any varnish. I'd normally use, well, I've never made one, so I can't say what I'd normally use at all, to be honest. But what I've ordered is a water-based high gloss model varnish that you use for model making. I know a lot of people use water-based floor sealer and cellulose dope, which is for like model aircraft wings and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll see what happens. So that just as a recap, then that is reed that I harvested from near Canning Town. On my just grabbed some of that. The two inserts are kebab skewers. It's a chopped safety pin for the eye, just a bit of old cotton thread for the whipping, and the glue and the paint is what I've bought. So that is better than those cheap crystal Wagglers you get on eBay for like a couple of quid. I mean, they fall apart. The glue dissolves and everything. And this will, you know, if you look after this will last you forever. This is it's a decent float. It's a decent reed insert float. I'm really happy with it. So I'll just show you a couple other bits I've been making as well, just this week, just to give you some idea of what's possible. And I'm going to do some more of these videos. I think I quite fancy making some loaded pellet Wagglers out of some of this this mullein, or it's some twig I got in the garden anyway. So it's like hollow with like a pith in it, and that's what some of the other floats have been made of. So I'll just grab them and show you them. Right, these were just a bit of fun. That's a clothes peg, and the eyes are made from the spring. I chopped that up and gave that a go. There's no whipping on that. That's just done with paint and permanent marker, the model paints. But the float is set. The peg itself wasn't that buoyant, so I added a bit of cork. Really, it was an experiment to see if the cork would be bound by this contact adhesive I've got, and it's worked really well on that. I sort of shaped that, clamped it, glued it, and then sanded it all down and trimmed it, and they look really good. And so they're pretty much self-cocking with the weight of the spring, and they sit just on the. I tested them in a glass of water, and they sit just on the line. So they're just waiting for varnish. So they're a bit of a laugh. I suppose you could call them little pellet Wagglers or something. But there you go. If you've got some clothes pegs, it just goes to show what you could do. They're pretty cool, I think. Insert. So this is what we've just been making. Another one ready to go. Same again, but instead of using reed, I use the mullein or something. I can't remember. It's like a tall yellow plant. I'll put a picture of it up in this, and maybe a link to its Wikipedia page or Plantopedia or something. Yeah, that's just an orange one. Ready. The red again, I should say, not the orange. Exactly the same. A little bit more weighty, but it is still very, very light and very strong. This stuff, and this was from the garden. It's great. I was clearing weeds, and it grew up by the shed, and I left it, and it died. And it was sort of there all winter, and then it's dried out with the warm weather. I brought it in and chopped it up, and this is it untreated. I've got loads of it, so I'm definitely going to be making some stuff out of that. This is a cool little thing. It's again a reed insert, but a very small one. Yeah, it's going to be like a little just like a little pole float or something. And I've used, instead of using a cocktail stick, I've got these. I ordered these online actually. These Dow lolly sticks. They're about 3.5 mil, and I just sanded it down and shaped it with a Stanley knife so it fitted in nicely, and then glued it. And that was just going to have a little orange tip. Not going to put an eye on that. Just going to lacquer it as it is, and it'll just be a little stick float. And then these are the ones that are sort of more ornate that I've been practicing my whipping with, and I'm really pleased with these. This one is the mullein double insert, and the tips on these aren't bamboo sticks. These are actually the sticks of cotton buds, you clean your ears out with. So yeah, really cool. Really pleased with how they've turned out, and the whipping looks really good on them. So yeah, this is just what I've created in a few days. It hasn't taken long at all. I think it's great. You know, if you're sort of stuck for something to do, and we're obviously not out fishing at the moment, so if you're stuck for something to do, then I can highly recommend it. If you want any tips or hints, drop me a comment below, or if you've got any tips and hints for me, I'd be more than happy to hear them. And if you're having a go yourself, come and share your stuff on the Budget Angler community, and or send me some stuff on Facebook, and I'll put it out on the page. So hopefully that's been useful for you guys. Sorry I couldn't show you the actual finished articles varnished. I just haven't got the varnish, but I do want to get this video out, so I'll put it up, and then what I'll do is show you those finished floats varnished on another video when I'm gonna make probably do some pellet wagglers or something out of these twigs. So yeah. Well, yeah, hopefully that was useful for you then, guys. It's been good to sort of actually do a video. I haven't done one. I obviously haven't been out fishing for ages. Had a bit of footage in the can, so I did a video a couple of weeks ago. This was supposed to have gone out Sunday, but it's late, obviously, because I've been busy with other things, and I've been waiting for some of these materials to actually arrive in the post before I could make anything. So I've been stuck for footage, but hopefully you found it useful, and I've enjoyed making it, and I think I'm going to have a great stock of floats going forward. So thanks for watching, thanks for bearing with me, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers guys, fish on.